Alright, it's turn 38, late spring in year 3. Message-wise, this was a really good turn for gems. I cast Dark Knowledge twice, and I found a Lilium Veil and a Battlefield, so my Earth income just went up by 2. I was attacked by a casting of ghouls of Arouse Hunger in the Weald. I'm not sure where Hinnom got Death 3 to cast this spell, but they dropped some ghouls on me, which I destroyed. Yeah, because that spell is... Arouse Hunger is... Stop that. Where even is it again? I thought it was an enchantment. Am I dumb? Did I see it and just walk right past it? Where... What is happening? Give me just... Okay, now I'm confused. Give me just a second. There it is. Alteration level 4. Yeah, it requires Death 3. And, Hinnom doesn't... I mean, it must be their god. Because Hinnom doesn't get death. It must be their, Yeah, it must be not an AC caster is casting Arouse Hunger at me, which is kind of funny. He can't be getting any death gems unless he's traded for them, since he's besieged. Hinnom is still holding on. I should be cracking the walls any time now. I mean, I've got 300 siege strength here, but I guess I'm just gonna keep flooding skeletons in until I actually break down the walls. So, yeah, Rick Dovarius, come back here so you can help summon more skeletons. Lutbalt is moving over that way, but actually he should probably... Yeah, come back over here. I'm a little bit less worried about Therados than I was. I've been talking with them a little bit. They appear to be primarily concerned with Niflheim, which I think is kind of a funny decision because I am... Unless there's a lot of Niflheim that I haven't seen, I think I'm objectively larger, stronger, and scarier than Niflheim. Is fighting them, as well as Tirnanog. So that's fine. Mictlan has moved over here and crushed the last army of the Marverni, and it looks like Atlantis is moving in to take the last fortress of the Marverni. However, the Marverni's god, old guy with a stick, reappeared, and this keeps happening. Old guy with a stick just popped up, laid waste to a tiny, tiny little bit of province defense here, with just like basic spells. He just hit them with spells until they died. And then he cast Animate Dead several times for some damn reason. And just to add insult to injury, he set this guy on fire as he was running away. So, yeah. That's how that went. The Angry Mage. So, Marverni has their capital back, kind of. They're besieging the fort, but of course, Therados will just come back and wipe them out. A little bit concerned about this army, but also much more concerned about this army. But Therados is contacting me and asking if I want to team up against Niflheim, and I was like, yeah, Niflheim seems pretty big. I would be happy to... I haven't given them a firm yes or no, but overall... Well, I mean, I've been trying to make plans with Atlantis to attack Therados, so we'll see what happens there. But, blood hunting, going pretty well. You can see my total income this turn was like 50, 40, 50, something like that. What is it? 25, 30, 43, 46, 50. Yeah, over 50. So, pretty good. I am happy with it. And, of course, we're up to 11 death gems a month. We're up to 12 earth gems a month. Only 4 air, 3 water, 5 astral a month, and 5 nature. However, you may notice my gems are really low. That is because Irminsul has forged the Armor of Twisting Thorns, and he is casting Mother Oak with 77 gems behind it. So, definitely is dispellable, but, and this is really late in the game for Mother Oak not to be up, but like I said, I've realized that there really isn't a nature nation left in the game. And I guess it's with the random pretenders, nobody has a... I mean, like, if you let people design their pretenders, like, half of them will have a big nature PG. And this time, nobody does. I had to forge... I mean, I could have waited to get Nature 6, but, well, I could have waited for Construction 6, I'm sorry, because then I could have forged the Moonvine Bracelet. But I just thought, I'll just put the Armor of Twisting Thorns on him. It makes him worse in combat, but I don't really plan to bring Irminsul into combat necessarily. He doesn't have paths that are good for combat. I mean, he could do things in combat, obviously, but I'm hoping not to ever have to bring him into combat. And even if I do, the extra encumbrance won't matter all that much, because he'll be there to cast, like, 2 really important spells. Generally speaking, the Armor of Twisting Thorns is cursed, so you can't ever take it off, but it gives you 2 boosts and poison resistance and poison barbs, which is okay if you're fighting. It's a defensive adaptation. So, I'm okay with slapping it on him, and with that and the Thistle Mace, he can put Mother Oak up this turn. There's also not many Astral Nations left in the game, so I'm not too worried about getting dispelled. Theoretically, Atlantis can dispel. Theoretically, Niflheim can dispel. And of course, well, I said there's not many Astral Nations. Ermor can dispel, because Ermor is an Astral Nation. Twisted Sprinkler here with his Augur Elders, they can have Astral 2 or even potentially Astral 3. So they can dispel without all that much trouble. That said, I'm still not crazy worried about it. I don't think anybody's really gonna bother. Mother Oak is not considered a hugely dangerous global, because it's lower gem income than most other globals. But the more important thing is that I have 121 Blood Slaves built up, and I don't really need to spend them on anything except saving up for vampires. So I will be empowering some people in Blood over time, because, and actually there are some spells that I'll want to be casting. Binding Fiery Imps would actually be a pretty decent anti-Therados activity, so, and it's cheap. So I think we're gonna set about 3 or 4 ladies here on Binding Fiery Imps. That gives me 1 extra. You have 11 research points compared to 9. So we're just gonna set 4 ladies here to bind Fiery Imps every month. That will effectively lower my income by 8, which isn't that big a deal, but it'll give me 20 Fiery Imps per turn in the Cursed Land, which is a pretty significant increase in troop numbers. And they have magic ranged attacks, and they have Fire Shield, so Protection 0 units don't like them. Now, since they have long spears, Spectral Hoplites won't take much damage from their Fire Shields, but it will still be damage. It will still add up. Because I believe you're guaranteed to take the Fire Shield damage every time you attack. At least you get a Fire Shield roll every time you attack. And so, every time you hit, that is. So, it'll help, because Fiery Imps are, of course, completely disposable. I can just use them as a front line. And, of course, I can make Fire Elementals. And Fire Elementals... See, the thing about using Fire Elementals against Therados is, despite the fact that they are Protection 0 ghosts, they're really good at killing Fire Elementals, because their weapons are magic. So actually, yeah, that wouldn't be a good idea. Because Fire Elementals rely almost entirely on being ethereal to defend themselves. But yeah, so we'll start churning out some imps here. Over here, Sag. I haven't researched any blood. Once I start researching some blood, there are some summons that will be interesting for me. Fiends and Spine Devils both have 2 magical weapon attacks, so of course they kill ghosts very easily. As I get up higher, I talked about this earlier, of course, as I get up higher I can cast the Ritual of 5 Gates. I will eventually be able to call Horrors, since I do have Astral Magic now, and I can use boosters forged by my god to cycle myself up higher in Astral. So eventually I'll be able to launch Horrors at people. I'll also be able to awaken Dark Vines. I've never really done that before. I feel like it's maybe not all that useful. I can also cast Crossbreeding. And Crossbreeding is normally a pretty garbage spell. But, I don't know. Seems like it could be good. Also, it looks like that death is maybe not going away. Or, well, it's going away slowly, maybe. I need to spread my Dominion more is what I need to do, because right now my Dominion is not very powerful. I need more temples. I got a random income event this turn. I got about 600 extra gold, so I've started my fortress in Arcosophale. Next turn, I will start a fort in the Weald as well. Because I would actually like to build a temple. You're reanimating. Yeah, you just keep reanimating, since you all can reanimate here for cheap. Landobergt. If I can free up 50 gold from somewhere. Just need 50 gold. Let's build a temple here in the Weald. Since we are going to get a fort here as well, so, that'll delay my fort by a turn. Nah. Keep casting Dark Knowledge for now. Where are you casting that? Sitha? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, keep casting Dark Knowledge for now. That also, of course, gets a discount here, because this site is just fantastic. Just freaking fantastic. I love it. I'll cast all of my death summons will be cast here for that reason, because 20% fewer death gems is great. And, yeah, next turn I'll start the fort, and then after that I'll get temples built in both of these locations, and then also a temple in Hinnom when I conquer Hinnom. Right now I have 6 temples, so I want to build 4 more to get up to 10. That will push my Dominion spread chance up, and it'll also increase my checks. Now that my god is awake, that's giving me 3 extra checks, including 1 guaranteed candle per turn, so that is pushing my Dominion a little bit harder, but I would just like it to be better still. And Thodaz here. Thodaz has growth 3, which is pretty good. That indicates to me that is the Throne of Life, which would give me 3 extra nature per turn. That would be pretty cool. Now, in terms of scales, this doesn't have any scales effect, and this I don't think has any scales effect, because I think those are the same scales as Therados. Yeah, they are. So, that tells me that those thrones, they're not life. And they might be the inner throne. It might be any of these, honestly. It might be fire, water, crystal, or golden. But I need to take a throne at this point pretty soon, because taking a throne would give me another powerful mage or a lot of gem income. And it would be very, very nice. In terms of forging, I'm forging yet another dwarven hammer, which is why my earth gems are low. I'm forging my owl quills. I'm forging a fire in a jar. What else was I forging? Wasn't there one other thing? Oh yes, I'm forging another bloodstone. So I have my first one here. With the bloodstone and the earth boots, that means that I can boost up to earth 5, because I have Arnold, who has earth 3. And then I also have, of course, Irminsul, who has no, well, he has no earth, so never mind, ignore Irminsul. But I have Arnold, and so I can boost up to earth 5. That opens up all kinds of interesting possibilities. With Earth 5, I can cast Riches from Beneath, which would increase all of my resources dramatically, and also increase my income. Riches from Beneath is a pretty good spell. It was bad in Dominions 4, in Dominions 5, it's rad. Went from bad to rad, haha. If I can get up to Earth 6, I'll be able to cast Earthblood Deep Well, which would be a fantastic spell to have. And I have the Earth Gem income to put it up pretty hard, like with 10 turns of income saved for that, less because I can alchemize. I could put it up, you know, with more than a 50% overcast, with like an overcast of 40 or 50 gems, and that would make it hard, not by any means impossible, but hard to dispel. And then after that, I would only need to save my gems for 4 or 5 turns in order to cast it at the same strength again. So that would be a good option. Beyond that, I'm trying to think of how I get up to Earth 6, because boots and bloodstones are pretty much the only Earth boosters. I can always empower. Empowering Arnold would cost 60 Earth gems, but would be worth it in order to cast Earthblood Deep Well. So that's definitely a possibility. In terms of Earth summons, Well, let's look into conjuration here. You can summon a Troll King who is Earth 3. And then you can summon a King of Elemental Earth, but Kings of Elemental Earth can't wear boots. So in order to get them ratcheted up to Earth 6, you need a Staff of Elemental Mastery. I can't forge Staffs of Elemental Mastery. Because I need either Earth Air or Fire Water Cross Paths. I have the Fire Water Cross Path on Irminsul, but it needs to be 4 of each. And then I need 20 of each type of gem. So I would have to... I'm recruiting... I want to recruit Shamans, because I want to try and get the Death Fire Cross Path with Shamans, which Shamans can give me. Because that would let me forge a Skull of... Well, no, that's a... Yeah, that would let me forge a Skull of Fire, which would boost Fire. So then I would only need to empower Irminsul in Fire once, and then have him have the Skull of Fire, a Water Bracelet... I've just realized I can't do that. I've made it impossible because I gave him the Armor of Twisting Thorns. So he will never be able to boost his water, so he'd have to empower him water too. So I think my only shot at Earth Power, at you know what I mean, Earthblood Deepwell, is going to be empowering Arnold. That also means that I have to keep Arnold safe. Arnold is going to live a cushy life in a fortress forever. And if necessary, I will even forge him a Shade Mail so he can sneak around and not be seen, because he gotta live. Arnold got to live. I'll stack whatever defensive equipment I need to on Arnold in order to make sure that he lives. Like, for example, I may want to put either a copper plate or an elemental armor on him, just in case. But we can leave that off for now. I probably will put an elemental armor on him, just because I need him to be... Like, the last thing I need is a Seeking Arrow or the Wrath of God or something, just randomly killing him later in the game. And I'll just hide him somewhere, maybe move him around a little bit, because he's going to be holding 2 globals. Eventually, Arnold is going to be holding Riches from Beneath and Earthblood Deepwell, if everything goes to code. Speaking of going to code, once we hit Construction 6 next turn, I have a couple of Warrior Chieftains. I have 3 total, kind of sitting around in the capital. And I have Faramund is patrolling here. That can be taken over by a random Barbarian Chieftain, freeing up Faramund to join the pack. So I'll have 4, and those 4 are going to be geared as mini thugs. I'm going to gear them as anti-ghost mini thugs, which means I'm going to give them magical weapons, defensive gear, like Vine Shields or Shields of Gleaming Gold, something like that. That'll be the most expensive part of the kit. Armor of Knights to make them high protection, and then also I'll probably also give them a Girdle of Might, just for reinvigoration purposes, because their encumbrance will be fairly high. Armor of Knights will lower it a little bit, but their basic encumbrance is 3, so they need something to keep them awake. Actually, I guess it should be the Flesh Eaters, should be their weapons, because Flesh Eaters will send them berserk, and that will prevent them from routing, so they can stand in the middle of big piles of ghosts and keep killing for a long time. And then in terms of shields, it's going to be charcoal shields that I want for the fire shield effect, and then the high protection and the parry, of course. So that's going to be the plan. And I will try to deploy those guys with my army when I fight Therados, as anti-ghost measures. And if they can kill a whole bunch of ghosts each, then that will really help. Now, the interesting thing about that is going to be, I will definitely need to have people casting poison resistance spells, which is what the Antlered Shamans are for, of course, but that means I got to get this siege over with. This siege has to be done pretty quickly. I was hoping I would have the fort broken down this turn, but I could have sworn this said the walls were critically damaged a little while ago, and now it says severely damaged, but it doesn't say that they're just repairing the walls faster than we're breaking them down. It doesn't say we need more men, which makes me think he cast a spell. It can't be Iron Walls. I don't know. I'll have to do some research. I don't know if there's another spell that increases wall strength, but I'm not sure what happened there. I could have sworn that we were fine. But in any case, Agrowolf is doing fine. The Ring of Regeneration is holding off the disease. Eventually, once I cast Mother Oak here, I'll have the nature power to cast Cure Disease on him. I'll just have to research Thaumaturgy level 4, which won't be all that much of a digression. And then, of course, I'll want to go down to Enchantment, get Riches from Beneath, and I should also start casting these spells here. Mainly because they give you mages. Hidden in Sand can give you Earth, Fire, and Death. Hidden Underneath can give you Earth, Death, and Astral. And both give you a pretty solid army as well. I mean, it's not a huge army, but it's a pretty solid one. So, with my Earth income, I should be able to cast these spells pretty effectively while I'm working towards getting Earthblood Deep Well up. So, that's the plan. Need to coordinate with Atlantis a little bit more about what we're going to do with Therados. I really need Atlantis to attack first, because I need this army to be moved out of the capital before I go to fight Therados, because otherwise this army will just come ashore and boop-a-doop-a-doop wreck my shit. Which, of course, I can't have. That would be very bad. You're hiding there, moving a guy up there. We're putting scouts in all of Therados' provinces down here. Taking these provinces is probably an early war goal. Unfortunately, they're very hard to defend. So, definitely going to need to... Really what I'm going to need is I'm going to need a lot of troops. A lot of stealthy troops, ideally. None of my troops are terribly good at killing ghosts. Mainly because their low magic resistance means they die. The best are definitely going to be Steel Maidens, because it doesn't need a lot of damage output. It just needs multiple attacks and reasonable defense skill and protection to avoid being murdered. So it's either Steel Maidens or Shield Maidens, or a mix of both. Probably going to go with Shield Maidens because they have a lower rec point cost. Using these guys against Therados would be a huge mistake. I love them, they do a ton of damage, but like I said, I don't need high damage against Therados because their units have 0 protection and only slightly above human health. What I need is I need to avoid being hit with spectral weapons that will murder me. So Axe Warriors can't trade with ghosts is basically what I'm saying. They're ethereal, they ignore 3/4 of hits, and then when they attack you, in order to lower the damage of their hits, you have to pass a magic resistance check, which Ulm is terrible at. So, you need Steel Maidens. Now the other thing that would be really helpful would be anti-magic, which is... it's enchantment, and I have Thaumaturgy level 1, so I can deploy my sages to cast anti-magic in battle. And that is going to be huge, because kicking anti-magic on instantly makes your magic resistance, makes Ulmish magic resistance, instead of 8 or 7, it becomes 11 or 12. 11 in high magic domain like this, and like Therados' domain. And that makes it much more likely that you'll pass that check. Unfortunately, there's no spell to give you magic weapons. If there was a spell to give you magic weapons, then I would have no fear whatsoever. But there isn't. So, gonna have to rely on warrior chiefs. But yeah, the thing to do with warrior chiefs, actually against Therados, one of their miscellaneous slots should be dedicated to an amulet of anti-magic, and then we can also cast anti-magic, and that will make their magic resistance 15. And that will resist spectral weapons pretty well. So probably... Actually, I'm trying to think of the ideal gearing here. I'm thinking, actually, Boots of the Messenger for reinvigoration. Amulet of Anti-Magic. Second miscellaneous slot. Probably a Ring of the Snake. Probably poison resistance. And that's nature gems, of which I'll have a lot. So yeah, to avoid the foul vapors problem, poison resistance will be good. Although, well, I mean, the question is, do you care about them dying, or do you just make another commander? For weaponry, a firebrand would be ideal. Either a firebrand or a mace of eruption. But mace of eruption costs 10 fire gems, and I have like no fire gem income. Zero, pretty much zero. I'm running around trying to search everywhere. Just search for. I never searched this province for fire, which is dumb. So search there. You all keep blood hunting, but Ulrich is gonna go over there to search. Ulrich, Ulrich, come over here, search for gem sites. We're gonna go back to Warrior Smiths for a minute here because I have the money and I want to see if I can maybe get a Fire 2. A Fire 2 would be really nice. Be really nice, guys. And then yeah, I think next turn I should have enough to start the fort here with Cambria the Barbarian, who will also become our prophet as soon as we can appoint a new prophet. I've given him a belt because he deserves it. He has encumbrance 7. Why does he have encumbrance 7? Oh, because it's so hot. Okay. So yeah, that's the plan as it stands, and we'll see how it goes. I'll see y'all in turn 39. All right, folks. So it is turn 39. I'm having some interesting thoughts here. So first of all, Hinnom has not fallen yet, but will probably fall next turn. Nasajin and I have been talking some, and just to kind of make it fun, as you can see, I've changed my formation, and I've put Varan Harris out front. Varan Harris, of course, is geared up kind of in a moderate way, and he has the Sword of Sharpness, which does 90 damage total versus giants. And so I've got him just right out front of the whole army on attack closest, and Nasajin is putting his biggest, beefiest giant pretender commander, out the son of Kokabel, I believe, out front, and the two of them are going to start the battle off by charging into each other and seeing who wins in a brutal duel to the death. Varan Harris might die because there will, of course, be Avite heavy archers on the walls that will be shooting, probably at him. But everyone else is set to hold, and he's kind of like, I'll put him like right there. Yeah, he'll just be at the front. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully there'll be an epic duel and Varan Harris will survive. If he dies, it'll be a waste, but you know what? Sometimes you've got to do things to make it fun for yourself. Incidentally, I have to say, thematically, this is one of the things that I really love about Dominions. What other game lets you have, effectively, Conan the Barbarian leading an army of the restless dead to besiege the cannibal giants of Jewish mythology? I mean, that's just cool right there. Alright, back at it. Sorry, I had to have a little conversation. We're reanimating, as always. We're casting Dark Knowledge. We're also forging an Amulet of Anti-Magic. Landobert is actually going to research, and so here's what I'm thinking. I've been thinking about fighting Therados, and I've been thinking about dealing with their ghosts. My initial thought was to kind of mini-thug warrior chieftains, but I was looking at the amount of equipment they were going to need to be effective, because what I need is, I'm going to need thugs that are immune to poison, and have high magic resistance, and are physically tough enough to take a whole bunch of attacks, and won't rout. Gearing a warrior chief to do all that would be quite expensive, but I have another option, which is Banes. Now, Banes and their larger cousins, Bane Lords, used to be real classic thugs. They've sort of fallen out of fashion because they cost death gems, which are valuable, and they're not super powerful anymore. The benefit of a Bane or a Bane Lord is it's an encumbrance 0 undead chassis, which means it's basically immune to cold and to poison. And it has encumbrance 0, and it has morale 30. No, it doesn't have morale 30. It's not infinite morale, but by reviving a Bane, I get a high magic resistance, 0 encumbrance, tough chassis that I can then slap some gear on that will make it pretty effective. So, what I'm doing is I'm forging a Flesh Eater, which is a magical weapon that sends you berserk. I'm also forging an Armor of Knights, which gives you higher protection. And finally, I'm going to forge, I don't have fire gems is the thing. I could really use some fire gems right now. I'm also going to forge a Vine Shield, but I need a Nature 2 for that. So Irminsul, give that to Vidigoya. And he's going to forge a Vine Shield so that anyone who attacks gets entangled. So with the Vine Shield, the Armor of Knights, and the Flesh Eater, my Bane will go berserk. He's immune to poison and to cold. He will have a magic weapon so he can hurt ghosts. His magic resistance will be high because I'll also put this amulet of anti-magic on him. So his magic resistance will be like either 20 or really close to 20, which means he'll be taking half damage from ethereal weapons most of the time. The Vine Shield will entangle people who attack him, so he'll be taking relatively few attacks. And once he's berserked, he'll stay on the field, and the ghosts are not berserk, so the ghosts will rout off at the turn timer. Now, this is a highly specialized kind of thug that works, that should, I haven't tested it, but should work against huge ghost blobs, because he'll get blobbed around by the ghosts, and then he'll just be killing them one at a time with the Flesh Eater while berserk, and they shouldn't be able to kill him. In order to make actually sure that they can't kill him, I would need to also put on a Ring of Regeneration, which I don't have one of free at the moment. Agrowolf is holding my Ring of Regeneration right now, and it is what's keeping him alive. So I'll need another one of them. Probably. Because the Ring of Regeneration basically means you can take a certain amount of damage every combat round, and you'll just regenerate it back. And Banes, I believe Banes regenerate 3 hit points. In any case, so that's my plan there. I'm going to start getting Banes. In terms of the rest of the plan, I am still recruiting Shield Maidens for chaff purposes. I'm still recruiting Antlered Shamans in order to get... Actually, why did I... Yeah, I didn't need Vitigoya to have that. I have Hrodolf here. Antlered Shamans in order to cast Wooden Warriors and Poison Resistance. With my Nature Gems, I did cast Mother Oak. So I have Mother Oak up. My Nature income is now 15 per turn. I'm also binding Fiery Imps. I'm binding 20 Fiery Imps per turn. That only costs 8 Blood Slaves, which is nothing. And Fiery Imps have Fire Shield and reasonable stats. They're very, very weak. And they are susceptible to cold, but they can throw flames, which is a magical fire attack, and is armor piercing, which doesn't actually matter against ghosts. But they can throw flames, and they have okay stats and Fire Shield. So they'll do alright against ghosts in large, large quantities. And of course, I can get them in large, large quantities. I also have Saig binding Fiends of Darkness, which are flying units with 2 magical attacks, so that'll be helpful. And he's basically just whiling away the time until I can get up to the higher level blood summons. In research terms, I am rushing up blood magic in order to get to vampires, because it's turn 39, and like I said, I'd like to have vampires by turn 50. Don't know if I'll make it. Beyond that, everything's going to code. I've got this besieged, this should be broken next turn. I've taken all of Hinnom's territory, and should be a good time. Should be a very, very good time. Now, I've got Shield Maidens not recruiting. I've got some Shield Maidens recruited. And I would definitely also like to hit Redbud Grove, but I will need troops for that. Let's get some Steel Maidens here. Getting the Shield Maidens there. Should be able to pretty much just rush this with troops and take it out. And then Irminsul or a Prophet can capture it. I don't have a Prophet at the moment since Coheed the Barbarian died. So, have to wait a little bit for that. But yeah, that's going to be the turn. Fairly simple. Next turn, things should start getting a little bit exciting. Atlantis is attacking Therados, and Atlantis has in fact asked me to help attack Therados on land. So I told him give me a couple turns, and then I'll go in, so I need to build up troops and get at least one of my Bane thugs equipped by that time. I also need to break Hinnom and have this army start moving backward. Summoning the skeletons will definitely help, getting 40 skeletons per turn, plus that Mound King. My Death Gem income is quite healthy, so I should be able to maintain at least 20 or 30 skeletons per turn, plus a Bane per turn. It's actually gear that will be the crunch, because I don't have enough gem income. At least I don't think I have enough gem income to fully gear one. Actually, I do. 15 nature gems, 12 earth gems, and 5 pearls per month. I do have enough to gear them up, because I can... A Vine Shield is 10-8 with a hammer. An Amulet of Anti-Magic is 3 with a hammer. An Armor of Knights is 2 with a hammer. A Flesh Eater is 5 Blood Slaves. And then I should... They do also want a shield. No, they've got the Vine Shield. What am I saying? Vine Shield, armor. They want a helmet is what they want. So you're forging an Owl Quill. You're forging an Owl Quill. You forge me a... Yeah, just forge me a basic black steel helmet. I mean, Banes come with a helmet, but it's not that high protection a helmet, so it's like a basic iron helmet. It's not as good as black steel, and I want them to have the highest protection possible to reduce the damage they take as much as possible, to make them last as long as possible, because that is the whole trick. So, that's turn 39, and I'll see you all in turn 40. Alright, turn 40, and this turn we are storming Hiram. As I showed you last turn, Warren Harris will be leading the charge. All his troops will be set to hold while they get buffed and then follow him in. Hopefully he'll be alive 2 rounds later. These troops shouldn't be needed, so... Famous last words, I know. So I'm actually moving them away. Sigisvolt I'll probably move in to maintain the siege in case everything goes horribly, horribly wrong. Uvatha, however, with his 80 skeletons, is moving over in this direction in order to join the War of the Dead, which will be kicking off very, very shortly. Atlantis is attacking Therados, and Therados is attacking Atlantis. It looks like Therados lost in the Sea of Karassos, or possibly moved their army. Interestingly, they are using thugged Basalt Kings, and so let me show you why Basalt Kings are scary. So this is a thugged Basalt King here. He has Prot 29, because his natural protection is 17, and then he's also wearing armor, of course. He's wearing elemental armor, which gives all kinds of resistances. He has a Ring of Regeneration, a Snake Ring, a Dragon Helmet to give him more morale and fire resistance, a Frostbrand, and a Charcoal Shield. So he has Fire Shield, 29 protection, 16 magic resistance, regenerates, causes fear, they naturally do that, has reinvigoration, he has a resource bonus because he's a Basalt King, and 150 dark vision, funnily enough, because he has perfect dark vision and then he's also wearing a hat that gives him more dark vision. He's also resistant to all types of non-mundane damage. He's resistant to shock, fire, cold, and poison. He's effectively immune to these 3, can still take damage from shock. But of course he has 51 hit points and is regenerating 6 hit points per round. He also has the Boots of the Messenger to give him a little bit more reinvigoration, and as we see, he'll start off by casting Summon Earth Power, and once he summons Earth Power, his reinvigoration goes up. He then quickens Self, so his reinvigoration right now is 7. He has 8 Encumbrance, and 13 Spellcasting Encumbrance, and since he's quickened, that's happening twice per round. Overall, I think quickening these guys might even be a mistake, because they can last for a long time if they're not quickened. If they are quickened, they kill very quickly, as you can see here, but they're still killing only 1 square per turn. And after that little fighting, he's up to 37 fatigue. And watch what happens. By the time he finishes the fight, and this is a very small fight with vulnerable province defense, he's up to fatigue 53. Okay, let's go one more round. Well, he's still level there, so I guess that didn't technically count as a round or something. In any case, he does fatigue out, and against a big stack of ghosts, he will fatigue out. And then the question will be, is there anything on the field that can kill him? It's hard to find things that will kill this guy. You basically need your own super combatant or counter thugs. I could do it, because I would fight this Basalt King with, like, 5 or 6 warrior chiefs with some basic armor and great swords of sharpness, and maybe cold resistance. And that would cost me, like, 6 gems. And they would, with armor of knights, a ring that gives them cold resistance, and great swords of sharpness, and they would just charge in and hack at him. And since they do armor-piercing damage, they'd be swinging for about 30 against effectively protection 15, and so they would do a lot of damage very quickly and cut him down. But Therados doesn't have that option. Oh, and of course, those 6 guys, most of them would survive, and Basalt Kings cost 445 gold and are a slow to recruit capital only. So I can deal with it. Therados has trouble. So Therados is now besieging Godhaven. There was also a battle in Gol Amrod, which they won. That's their army up on land. There's a big pile of ghosts there. There's some ghosts down here. I'll be moving into this area, and he's building a fort here. So this will be the first test deployment of the Bane. So with his gear, he doesn't have the Ring of Regeneration yet. That's coming. But Kurgle the Bane has 25 protection, 18 magic resistance, a little lower than I was hoping, but still workable. Reasonably good stats, 23 hit points. He hits for 31 magical damage, but only one person at a time, which is fine. And he has Berserker +3. Plus, of course, he has a chill aura, he's immune to cold, and immune to poison. So he should... I may need to deploy them 2 or 3 at a time, but they should be able to get into the middle of a stack of ghosts and just not die for long enough. That's the hope. With the regeneration, with them regenerating every round, they should be able to pull it off. So I'm forging Ring of Regeneration. I am forging Vine Shield. I'm forging Armor of Knights, Black Steel Helmet, and Amulet of Anti-Magic. And, where is it? Flesh Eater every turn. And that's just what I'm doing with my gems right now. My Earth Gem income I believe, can cover it. My Earth Gem income can cover it. My Astral income can cover it. My Nature income is slightly overwhelmed because each of these is 8, and my Nature income is only 15. So I'm losing 1 Nature Gem per turn doing this. That's unfortunate because I would like to be stacking up Nature Gems, but I want to get at least 2 or 3 Banes fully equipped because I really feel like they will be a fairly effective countermeasure. They're immune to Frozen Heart. They're immune to a lot of things. The risk is that he hits them with lightning, but Therados doesn't have a lot of air magic. They have a little bit of air magic, but not a lot. It's really only Dactyls that get air 2. Everybody else is only air 1, which isn't actually enough to hit me with lightning bolts. So I'm not too scared about it. There are countermeasures, but I think the Banes will definitely stiffen my armies, is basically my approach. And with the skeletons coming back, I'll be able to work it out. Still researching down blood. I'm at blood 4. I will hit blood 5 this coming turn. After that, it will take 2 turns to blood 6, and then probably 3 or 4 turns to blood 4. So I am, I think, on track to hit vampires by turn 50, which will be great. Money-wise, I am a little low on money. I'm going to be recruiting a guy down there. I stopped recruiting troops because I was like, well, you know what? To be honest, I'm just reanimating troops. I'm going to be going into this war with masses and masses and masses and masses of skeletons, and that's about it. And that's going to be okay. So Kurgle is defending because he wants to pick up his Ring of Regen. Do I have any boots to give him? No? Okay. In terms of research, we need to start passing out some quills real quick. Yep, quills for you, quills for you. I could also give him this. It would increase his damage and reinvigoration, but he doesn't need reinvigoration, so eh. I would also like to forge some gear for Cambria, but I don't have the gear. I'm forging another hammer so that I can have another guy forging, because my Earth Gem income can stand to have... My Earth Gem income can support 6 smiths forging 2 gem basic items every turn, and I'm about to get more Earth Gems from Mount Hermon, unless, of course, as I said, everything goes disastrously wrong, which it could. Very well could. I have 2 guys casting Strength of Giants and 2 guys casting Wooden Warriors to buff Prot, so my army should be able to hack through what it needs to hack through, but we'll see how it goes. I need actually you guys to hold and attack rear, because I want you guys to charge through. Like these 60 I want to charge through. The skeletons, it's okay if the skeletons spread out, but I've got 80, 115, 165. Yeah, I've got well over 200 units here, so they should be able to take it. Plus Warren Harris. Or Varan Harris, as the case may be. And Sigisvolt will come in. Like I said, just in case, he'll just come in and hold the fort so we can maintain the siege if everything goes terribly wrong and move in more skeletons. So, that is the plan. Continuing the blood hunting, we're up to 188 blood slaves. My goal is that as soon as we hit vampires, Irminsul here can just pump out a vampire every turn for as long as possible. There's 77 blood slaves each. My income this turn was a little bit lower than it has been, but still pretty decent. 14, 21, 29, 30, 48. Yeah, over 50. My Blood Slave income is reliably over 50 per turn at this point. Everybody up here is binding Fiery Imps, so that's costing me 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 14 Blood Slaves per turn. So my net is probably around 30. And in the time that it takes me to get to vampires, if I keep at this rate, I'm also losing 5 for the Flesh Eater. So my net income is about 25, somewhere between 25 and 30. If I keep that up, I'll have about 300. And so I'll be able to cast I'll be able to summon I want to say I'll be able to summon about 10 Vampire Lords in a row before I start running out. And that will be fantastic. So, thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you in turn 41.